So, good afternoon, my dear friends. How are you all? Yes. So, my dear friends, today we are on to our chapter 2, unit 2, theory of consumer behavior, also called as consumer equilibrium. Right? As usual, I will repeat what I said in demand. I will repeat what I said in demand. In this particular chapter, also, we have to think from the consumer's point of view. When I had discussed demand, you all must remember that I told you that please think from whose point of view? From consumer's point of view. इस चैप्टर में भी अपने को कंज्यूमर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सोचना है. वी विल हैव टू थिंक फ्रॉम द कंज्यूमर्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. ओके, अच्छा. नाउ what is the objective of this chapter? What is the objective of this chapter? Okay, the objective of this chapter is to find equilibrium. What is the objective of this chapter? To find equilibrium. Now see, equilibrium can be defined from two senses: consumer equilibrium, producer's equilibrium. In this chapter, we are not concerned with producer's equilibrium. We are concerned with consumer equilibrium. Acha. So, sir, what does consumer equilibrium mean? What is the meaning of consumer equilibrium? My dear friend, I'll summarize it in a very simple form. Consumer equilibrium means a point where the consumer has achieved maximum satisfaction. A point from where the consumer will not want to move. A point from where the consumer will not want to move. A point from where the consumer has achieved maximum satisfaction and therefore will not want to move. Consumer equilibrium वो पॉइंट है जहां पे कंज्यूमर अपना मैक्सिमम सेटिस्फैक्शन अचीव कर लेता है. ये ऐसा पॉइंट होता है जहां पे दिस इज अ पॉइंट वेयर कंज्यूमर हैज consumed so many of the quantities of the commodity that he doesn't feel any need to consume more. Keeping in mind consumer's budget. Keeping in mind what? Consumer's budget. Keeping in mind consumer's budget. Okay, so keeping in mind the budget, the quantity that the consumer will consume so as to achieve maximum satisfaction is described by consumer equilibrium. Consumer equilibrium वो पॉइंट है जहां से कंज्यूमर हटना नहीं चाहेगा, बिकॉज उस पॉइंट पर कंज्यूमर अपना मैक्सिमम सेटिस्फैक्शन अचीव कर चुका है. मैक्सिमम सेटिस्फैक्शन अचीव कर चुका है. Is that clear, friends? What is the objective of this chapter? To find out consumer's equilibrium. Okay? Yes, sir. Let's go about it then. Let's go about it. Okay, let's go about it. Now, there is a concept of wants. First topic of the day, wants. What is it? First topic of the day, wants. Guys, all of you must have, had this soft drink called Mountain Dew. Yes, sir. So I will say the trick for wants definition. The trick is DEW, dew. Sir, what does it mean? What does it mean? Dew, desire plus effort equals to wants. Acha, by the way, one of our friend is asking, is there any difference between customer and a consumer? A very slight difference. A very slight difference, because consumer is somebody who is using the goods and services. A customer is somebody who may not be using goods and services, but is paying for goods and services. For example, if a child wants ice cream, his father or mother buys them ice cream. So father and mother are the customer of the shopkeeper, but the child is the consumer of ice cream. Understood? So we are not concerned about what is consumer, what is customer. It is useless. It is useless. Okay. So pay attention. I have explained. So here the trick is due. So whenever we want to call something as want, it should be desire plus effort. So suppose somebody wants a luxury car. It is just a desire. It's not a want. It will be somebody desires a luxury car. But let's say somebody is desiring a luxury car and is now putting in the effort to buy that luxury car and is now putting in the effort to get that luxury car. So when desire is backed by effort, then we call it as wants. So what is want? Desire plus effort equals to wants. Everybody write down in the chat. What is want? Desire plus effort equals to wants. Everybody write down in the chat box. What is want? Desire plus effort equals to wants. Got it, sir. Sir, we have understood, sir. Moving on. Now, what are the features of human wants? What are the features of human wants? There are many features that a human want has. Let's understand one of them, some of them. Unlimited. The first and the foremost thing is human wants are limited. So suppose we did well in our class 10, now we want to do better in class 12. Once we did good in class 12, we want to do good in CA foundation. Once we have done well in CA foundation, we will want to do it better in CA inter or intermediate. Once we have done good in CA intermediate, we will want to do better in CA final. After doing well in CA final, we will want to do good in our jobs. After good job, we will want something else. So this will keep on going. And that's why, my dear friends, wants are unlimited. As one want is over, other wants will, arise. Next point is very interesting. Next point is very interesting. What is it saying? Right. What is the next point? Wants differ in urgency. What is the next point? Wants differ in urgency. Acha. Sir, one of our friends is asking, sir, which is the best notes to study? The best notes to study is our institute ka book, ICI ka material. The best book to study. Whatever I am teaching from is institute's material. Study from institute's material. The first and the foremost thing. And yes, if presentation or my handwritten notes you want, they are already uploaded. After the class, I will upload this one also. So there is not a big deal. But you will ask me from where to study. As far as eco, business eco, the subject I am taking is concerned, institute's material is superb. Right? So for my subject, my best advice is this. Right? Got it, sir. So now moving on. The first one is unlimited. Wants are unlimited. Number two, wants differ in urgency. Wants differ in urgency. Yes, that is an important point. So suppose you have an exam tomorrow. So your most urgent want will be your notes that you will study. Suppose you want a PlayStation, a gaming station. Yes, you want that, but it is not very urgent if tomorrow is your exam. That's what we are studying. Wants differ in urgency. Some wants need to be satisfied immediately or, very soon. Some can take a little more time. And that's what we are saying. Wants differ in urgency. What is most urgent is satisfied first. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Moving on, sir. So wants differ in urgency, we have understood, sir. Moving on. Wants are satiable. Next is wants are satiable. Right? Wants are satiable. Sir, what is the meaning of satiable? See, each want is satiable means, individually. See, overall, all want cannot be satisfied. So you cannot have everything. Why? Because resources are limited. We studied now, resources are limited. Resources are limited. Resources are limited. Resources are limited. So all wants cannot be satisfied. But each want, if you talk about individual want, they can be satisfied. Okay. Then next is an interesting question. A particular want can be satisfied in alternative ways. Sir, we did not understand this point. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are feeling hungry, right? Suppose you are feeling hungry. So there can be multiple options. You can ask somebody to cook at home, right? You can go to a nearby cafe. You can go to a nearby dhaba and eat. So the same want to satisfy hunger can be done in multiple alternative ways. This is what we are doing. Particular want can be satisfied in alternative ways. Suppose, my dear friends, you all travel, okay? You will go in some other city. Let's say to travel that city for 2 to 3 days. Now you can stay in your relative if your relative stays there, right? You can take a hotel to stay, right? Nowadays, there are different concepts, right? So that is what I'm trying to say. A same want of staying can be satisfied in multiple ways. That's what we are saying. Similarly, if you want to, let's say, go from, Kolkata to Mumbai, okay? You can go via flight. You can go via train. Some of you may go via, road transport. So that's what I'm trying to say. Same want can be satisfied in alternative ways. Got it? Yes, sir. We have understood it. Then wants are affected by income, taste, and fashion. Absolutely. Wants are affected by income, taste, and fashion. So suppose your income is high. then you will want to travel in a luxury car. You will not, for regular basis, you will not want to travel via a bus because your income is high. So it depends on income, right? It depends on taste. So suppose there is somebody who likes non-vegetarian food, so they will want non-vegetarian food. Somebody who eats only vegetarian, they will buy only vegetarian. So it differs from taste also, and also fashion, like what is going on nowadays. So you will see mostly people wearing Fitbits nowadays, that is smartwatches. Mostly, I'm not saying all. So each one will have a tendency to buy, goods that are in the currently in fashion, right? That's what we are studying here. So it is affected by income, taste, and fashion, and so many other things, right? Next, wants may become habits and customs. Yes, absolutely. Wants may become habit and custom. Sir, what is the meaning of this? Wants may become habits and custom. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. Suppose one day in the morning breakfast, you had bread and butter. And you really enjoyed it. You just had it one day, but now you want it almost 3 days a week. So it has become a habit. Sir, how come custom? Yes, it can become a custom. Look at the wedding dress worn by both men and women in their respective wedding. So it has become, it has become a custom now, right? That's what I'm trying to say. And finally, wants vary with place, time, etc. So obviously, if you are in a cold country, your want for sweater will rise. But if you are in a hot country, your want for, plain cotton clothes will rise. Then with time, obviously, when we were kids, our wants were different. As we have grown up, our wants are different. So that is what they are trying to say. So this point is very simple. A mere reading will help you remember all the points, sir. Right? Mere revision is enough. So guys, I believe, please confirm, want and its characteristics are clear. Want का मतलब होता है desire plus effort. आपको कुछ चाहिए और आप उसके लिए effort लगा रहे हो. Wants के बहुत सारे characteristics है. जैसे income होगा वैसा want होगा. Right? जगह और समय के साथ want बदलता है. Want कभी भी सारे satisfy नहीं हो सकते क्योंकि resources limited है. राइट ये सारे पॉइंट्स अपने पढ़े हैं. और वांट्स की अर्जेंसी डिफरेंट है. कुछ वांट्स होते हैं इमरजेंसी, कुछ होते हैं जो हम लोग लेटर ऑन सेटिस्फाई कर सकते हैं. गाइस क्लियर है? इज इट क्रिस्टल क्लियर एवरीबॉडी? कैन आई मूव ऑन टू टाइप्स ऑफ वांट्स? प्लीज कंफर्म. आई थिंक इट्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर. ओके, ऑल राइट, अमेजिंग सर. लेट्स गो अहेड सर. If this is crystal clear, let's go ahead, sir. So moving on. Let's see what is going on. Now, here we are discussing types of wants. So there are 3 kinds here that we have studied. Wants for necessities, there is want for comfort, and then there is want for luxury. There is want for necessity, there is want for comfort, and then there is want for luxury. So sir, please explain each one of them. Okay, one of our friends has asked, what is the meaning of wants are subjective and relative? Yes, relative means it differs from time to time, place to place, from one person to another. So if you are wanting, let's say, a copy now, another person might have the want for a book, another may have a want for a camera. So it differs from person to person what they want. Understood, sir? Moving on. Types of want. So mainly speaking, we have 3 types of want. Number 1 is the necessity. Necessity is the want for food, clothing, shelter. Roti, kapda or makan. You all know. Because without this, our survival will be in question. So food, clothing and shelter. This is the basic want, and that is a want for necessity. Then once want for necessity is satisfied, then we want comfort at our homes, like a furniture, right? Like a bed. There are people who sleep on the floor. But as your income rises, you will want a little more comfort, and therefore furnitures, beds, etc. are meant to give comfort. Right? Like washing machine. People used to wash the clothes using hand, but now washing machine has helped them. And finally, we come to want for luxury. Once necessities and comforts are over, we come to luxury, where we talk about luxury cars, Jaguar, Ferrari, and all those things. So that expensive watches and all those things. So that is one for luxury. A very simple point, nothing to explain here. But now pay attention. We are coming to a very important topic, which is called utility. Which is called what? Utility. Guys, are you ready? Are you ready to understand utility? Because it's very, very, very important. Pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. Yes, sir, we are listening. What is utility? First, let's learn. Utility is the want satisfying power of a commodity. What is utility? Want satisfying power of a commodity. What is utility? Want satisfying power of a commodity. All of us will write down in the chat. Only once you write down in the chat, I will move forward. What is utility? Want satisfying power of a commodity. अगर एक commodity आपके किसी want को satisfy कर सकता है, अगर एक commodity आपके किसी want को satisfy कर सकता है, तो मतलब उसमें utility है. अगर एक commodity आपके किसी want को satisfy कर सकता है, तो उसमें utility है. If a commodity has an ability to satisfy your want, it has utility. अच्छा, remember, utility has nothing to do with usefulness. Whether a product has utility or whether a product is useful are two different things. A product having utility, a product having usefulness are two different things. They are not the same. For example, if somebody is in the habit of smoking, let's say, is smoking good for health? Obviously not. But for that person, is the cigarette demanding his want? Yes. So cigarette has utility. Cigarette is not useful, but cigarette is having utility. So whether a product has utility or not is not dependent on whether it is useful or not. It is depending on whether it is able to satisfy want or not. So if a particular given commodity is able to satisfy somebody's wants, we say it has utility. अगर एक commodity किसी का want satisfy कर दे रहा है, हम लोग बोलेंगे उसमें utility है. It doesn't matter कि वो उसके लिए useful नहीं है, हानिकारक है उल्टा. So what is utility? Want satisfying power of a commodity. Got it, sir. Now, my dear friends, utility, in utility, I'll tell you about two types of economists. There are two economists about whom I want you to know. Okay, sir, please tell us. Sir, please tell us. All right, pay attention now. Pay attention now. I will tell you. Pay attention, everybody. So the two economists are mainly, actually, on one side we put Alfred Marshall, and other side we put Hicks and Allen. Not necessarily Hicks and Allen, there were many, but let's put Hicks and Allen. Now, Alfred Marshall told that utility, please pay attention, everybody. Utility is cardinal concept. Alfred Marshall told utility is cardinal concept. What did Hicks and Allen say? Hicks and Allen told that utility is a ordinal concept. Sir, what does it mean? So when Alfred Marshall is saying that utility is cardinal, Alfred Marshall means that something is cardinal, means you can express it numerically. You can express it numerically. Ordinal means you can rank. Ranking is possible. Like you come first, you come second. That is possible. Ranking is possible. But numerical values are not to be assigned, cannot be assigned. But today, in our present class, we are concerned with cardinal approach. Yes, we will talk about ordinal approach. Okay, consumer behavior has both the approaches to arrive at equilibrium. Cardinal approach to arrive at equilibrium as well as ordinal approach to arrive at equilibrium. Both are a part of our syllabus. Our focus today is Alfred Marshall approach, which is cardinal approach. So let's talk about cardinal approach. Let's talk about cardinal approach. Cardinal approach के बारे में बात करते हैं. चलिए, let's go. चलिए, let's go. So let's talk about cardinal approach. Let's talk about cardinal approach. ठीक है? Let's go about it. So my dear friends, what is cardinal approach? Let's talk about it. Okay, let's hear it out. See, cardinal approach. Have a look, guys. Cardinal approach has two major concepts. Total utility, next is marginal utility. So, sir, you told us, Alfred Marshall tells that utility is measurable. Yes. So, how do we measure it? What you are ready to pay for a commodity is utility. Sir, what did you say? As per Alfred Marshall, utility is cardinal. meaning it can be assigned the numerical value. So how do we calculate the numerical value? How do we calculate the numerical value? What did I say? As per Alfred Marshall, utility is cardinal. Means utility can be assigned a numerical value. How do we assign that numerical value? The question is, how do we assign that numerical value? Pay attention, it will be clear. Pay attention, it will be clear. Yes, sir, please repeat. Please tell us. So my dear friends, the answer is very simple. When I say utility is cardinal, what do I mean? What do I mean when I say utility is cardinal? Pay attention, everybody. Okay? Yes, sir. Let's say you are very thirsty. You go to a shop. There is a bottle of Bisleri water bottle, okay? Now your home is far away. Let's say the cost of this Bisleri bottle is 10 rupees. But you are so thirsty, you are ready to pay 50 rupees for this Bisleri water bottle. So this rupees 50 is the value of utility as per Alfred Marshall. That's why Alfred Marshall said that value, numerical value of utility is to get a commodity, how much you are ready to pay. What you are actually paying is not utility. What you are ready to pay is utility. What you are ready to pay. So how much are we ready to pay? 50 rupees. Utility का numerical value होता है कि आप एक commodity को पाने के लिए कितने पैसे देने को तैयार हो. आप कितने पैसे दे रहे हो इससे कोई मतलब नहीं है. आप कितने पैसे देने को तैयार हो उसको बोलते हैं यूटिलिटी. आप कितने पैसे देने को तैयार हो उसको बोलते हैं यूटिलिटी. कितने दे रहे हो उससे कोई मतलब नहीं है. Okay, got it, sir. So here, this is the value of utility. Sir, we have understood. Now, what is total utility? So suppose for one commodity, now pay attention. I will explain total and marginal utility. Okay, pay attention. Suppose I write quantity here, total utility here. Okay. So for one commodity, the total utility is 50 rupees. That you are ready to give 50 rupees in total. For two commodities, you are ready to pay 90 rupees. For three commodities, let's say you are ready to pay 110 rupees. Okay. Now here we talk about marginal utility. Marginal utility is change in total utility due to one additional unit. Remember, in economics, whenever you hear the word marginal, it means due to one additional unit. It means due to one additional unit. Whenever you hear about marginal, it is about due to one additional unit. Okay? All right. So it is about one additional unit. Now pay attention. So suppose 0 is the quantity, total utility will be nothing. So if quantity increased by 1 unit, utility changed from 0 to 50. So by how much did it increase? 50. Now you all tell me, when I moved from 1 unit to second commodity, because of second commodity, my total utility increased by how much? By how much did my total utility increase? What do you say? Yes, you are correct. Sir, since you were in 50, now you are on 90. So total utility increased by 40 units. By 40 utiles. I would not say units, utiles. Remember, utility is measured in utiles. So 40. And again, for the third unit, just because of the third unit, by how much did it increase? From 90, it became 110. So it increased by 20. So here the value will be 20. Got it, sir? This is what is marginal utility. What is marginal utility? Change in total utility due to one additional unit consumed. So, sir, you are telling us that we can write marginal utility. So you are telling us we can write marginal utility. Yes, marginal utility equals to change in total utility. Means total utility from n units minus total utility from n minus 1 units. That is what marginal utility is. Is it yes or no, my dear friends? Yes or no, my dear friends? Come on, everybody. Yes or no? Come on. Very good, sir. It's crystal clear, sir. Now, pay attention, everybody. Pay attention, everybody. Our dear Marshall, Alfred Marshall, gave us a very important law. I am explaining you that law. Are you ready for that law? Yes, sir. That law is called law of diminishing marginal utility. What is the law? Law of diminishing marginal utility. What is the law? Law of diminishing marginal utility. Guys, I am asking you a question. You will answer me, okay? I'm asking you a question. Suppose you were feeling very hungry. So you go to a dhaba. Okay, you go to a dhaba. Let's say. Now you wanted chapati. Okay. So the dhaba wala person gave you first chapati, or the hotel person gave you first chapati. Okay. Then he gave you second chapati. Then he gave you third chapati. Because you were hungry. Now you will tell me which chapati gave the maximum satisfaction. First one, second one, or third one. When will you get maximum satisfaction? In the first one, in the second one, or in the third one? What say? Yes. The first one. The first chapati will give you the maximum satisfaction. It's not that second chapati will not give you satisfaction. Yes, second chapati is also giving you satisfaction, but the first one has given you more satisfaction. So when you consume the second one, your hunger is a little bit relieved. Since your hunger is a little bit relieved, second chapati will give you satisfaction, but not equal to the first one. And once you have eaten the second one, the third one will give you the satisfaction, but not like the first and the second one. So every time you are consuming additional unit, every time you are consuming an additional unit, you are deriving some satisfaction. Every time you are consuming an additional unit, you are deriving some satisfaction. That satisfaction is called marginal utility. What is marginal utility? I am explaining again. The satisfaction that you derive when you consume one more unit of a commodity. So suppose I have eaten one paratha, I have eaten one chapati. Now when I eat the second chapati, the extra satisfaction that I derive from that second chapati is called marginal utility of that second chapati. Okay, now, as you all agreed, every time we consume an additional unit, every time we consume an additional unit, total satisfaction keeps on falling. The additional satisfaction keeps on falling. The additional satisfaction keeps on falling. This is called law of diminishing marginal utility. This is called law of diminishing marginal utility. जैसे जैसे हम लोग एक कमोडिटी का कंजम्पशन बढ़ाते हैं, पहली कमोडिटी से कम सेटिस्फेक्शन सेकंड में मिलता है, सेकंड से कम थर्ड में मिलता है. इसको बोलते हैं डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी, क्योंकि मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी कॉन्स्टेंटली गिर रहा होता है. क्यों? क्योंकि हमारा पेट बढ़ते जा रहा है या हमारा मन बढ़ते जा रहा है. So since our stomach is full or our wishes are full, we don't want additional of that commodity anymore. There will be a point. So this is what we are studying. See, first apple you consume, as you can see from this example, total utility 20, very good. Second, total utility 35. Third, total utility 45. See, total utility is rising. Fourth, total utility is 50. Now up till this point, you see what is marginal utility. For first unit, TU equals to MU. For first unit, TU equals to MU. But when you consume the second unit, the TU has increased only by 15. So marginal utility of second unit is 15. In third case, it has increased by 10. So marginal utility of third unit is 10. Again, it has increased by 5. So marginal utility of fourth one is 5. Again, it has increased by, now it has not increased. It has remained the same. So quantity consumption has increased, but total utility has not increased. So marginal utility is 0. That is, additional satisfaction is 0. You don't feel any kind of additional satisfaction, right? And once you increase further, your total satisfaction is falling. From 50, it has got down to 45. So your additional satisfaction has fallen down. Again, when you move to seventh one, further it is falling. So again, the satisfaction is minus 10. This is what I am saying. So if you look carefully, marginal utility is constantly falling. Marginal utility is constantly falling. This, my dear friends, is called law of diminishing marginal utility. This, my dear friends, is called law of diminishing marginal utility. My dear friends, is the law of diminishing marginal utility clear? It is very much seen in daily life, where as and when we consume and more, our additional satisfaction keeps declining. Our additional satisfaction keeps declining. That is diminishing marginal utility. Yes, it's the difference between the succeeding and the preceding term, correct? So like for example here, 35 minus 20, you get 15. 45 minus 35, you get 10. That's correct. Yes, sir, we get it, sir. Very good, crystal clear. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Now let's talk about the diagram. So in exam, you can get the relation between TU and MU. So pay attention. If you look at this diagram very carefully, what do you observe? You see TU is rising and then TU falls. And then TU falls. What happens to MU? MU and TU were equal at the first unit. So see, at the first unit, we have plotted them together. For the first unit, we have plotted them together. Yes, sir, you are right. That's right, sir. For the first unit, we have plotted them together. But beyond the first unit, see, TU has risen and then fallen, but MU is constantly on the fall. But MU is constantly on the fall. So when TU is maximum, MU is 0. So how do you write? See, when TU rises, you see TU is rising. So there are three relations. When TU rises, all of you will write it down. All of you will write it down. When TU rises, MU falls. You see, when TU is rising at this point, MU is falling. When TU is at max, you see TU is at max here, then MU will be 0. When TU max, then MU 0. And when TU falls, what is MU equal to? MU is negative. When TU falls, MU is negative. Acha. Sir, you are telling when TU falls, MU is negative. That's right. That is what I'm saying exactly. Acha, sir. Clear. Sir, clear. So now we have understood the following point. And this is the law of diminishing marginal utility, you see. It's constantly falling. That is the law of diminishing marginal utility. It states that the amount of satisfaction provided by consuming every additional unit decreases as we increase the consumption of that commodity. Absolutely. Correct. So remember this, huh? Don't forget this. Very important point indeed. Okay. Now there are some assumptions of marginal utility. Assumptions of marginal utility analysis. These assumptions you will have to remember. Assumptions of MU analysis. Assumptions of MU analysis. Please remember the assumptions very carefully. Assumptions of marginal utility analysis. Okay. Are we ready? Yes, sir, we are ready. So number one assumption is absolutely correct. Consumer is rational. Means consumer can think logically. They know what is good for them. They know what is going to maximize their satisfaction. Consumer is rational. Understood? The consumer is rational. That is the first point, sir. Okay, sir, we get it, sir. Number two, assumption number two, as for our institute's material, will be utilities cardinal. Obviously, we have told now it is cardinal means it can be numerically measured. It can be numerically measured. I told you now what you are ready to pay. How is it that utility can be measured? What you are ready to pay. So suppose for a water bottle you were ready to pay 50 rupees. So whatever you are ready to pay is the value of utility. So utility can be numerically expressed. That is the cardinal concept. Okay, sir. Now we are measuring it in terms of money. Obviously, we know this, right? What else are the assumptions, sir? Assumption. The next assumption is a very important assumption. There should be continuity in consumption. Sir, what did you say? There are two major assumptions. Remember this. Number 6 is continuity in consumption, and then the next one is these two are very important. So pay attention. Continuity in consumption and standard units to be consumed. Sir, we did not understand this too. I will explain. I'll help you out. See, what does continuity in consumption means? Continuity in consumption means, suppose you ate an apple. Okay. Now you went to play. After 3 hours, you come and you eat another apple. So you will say that, sir, I feel equal satisfaction in both the apples. Both give me equal satisfaction. So Alfred Marshall says, no. Here you took a very long break. The break should be very small, say 5 to 10 seconds. So you eat one apple, then after 5 seconds or 10 seconds, you eat another apple. Then again, 10 seconds later, you eat another apple. So if the break is necessary, the break should be very short. Otherwise, obviously, we will not be able to study this relationship of diminishing marginal utility. Otherwise, so you will feel, sir, the first apple I ate 3 hours back, second apple I have eaten now. Both have given me equal satisfaction. This is what you are saying. The reason is, this is what you are saying. The reason is that there was no break. There was a big break in your consumption. So there should not be break. Otherwise, the first unit, second unit will give equal satisfaction. Maybe the second will give more satisfaction. So the assumption is consumption should be continuous. It should be without break. Oh, sir, got it, sir, got it, got it. Sir, we got it. And what is the next assumption? Unit should be standard. Sir, what do you mean? Suppose unit should be standard, means suppose you are to eat an apple, okay? You are to eat an apple. Now suppose instead of eating the whole apple, you have taken a very small bite of apple. Now will the small bite satisfy your hunger? No. So the second bite will be equally liked by you. So there will be no diminishing marginal utility. That's why we are saying standard consumption. Means when we are eating apple, the first apple will be taken as 1 unit. Second apple will be taken as 1 unit. It's not thus that the bite out of an apple will be taken as first unit. It cannot be done. Sir, another example of standard units. Suppose you are feeling thirsty and you want to have water. So standard unit will be glass of water. Now if somebody gives you water with a spoon, now you are very thirsty. If somebody gives you a spoon of water, the first spoon, second spoon, third spoon, fourth spoon, all will give same satisfaction. Why? Because unit is too small. But when you get a glass of water, that should be considered the first unit. Second glass of water, second unit. Then we will be able to study the relationship of law of diminishing marginal utility. I hope it's crystal clear, my dear friends. Yes, sir, it's crystal clear. It's crystal clear. And remember, the point cardinal means monetarily measurable. कार्डिनल का मतलब होता है न्यूमेरिकली हम लोग उसको मेजर कर सकते हैं. कैसे मेजर करते हैं? आप उस कमोडिटी को पाने के लिए कितने पैसे देने को तैयार हो, उसको बोलते हैं कार्डिनल. किसी चीज को पाने के लिए आप कितना पे करने को तैयार हो, वो होता है आपका यूटिलिटी का वैल्यू. क्योंकि आप इसको न्यूमेरिकली मेजर कर पा रहे हैं, इट इज कार्डिनल इन नेचर. गॉट इट सर? So that is what I am saying. When you are consuming water, the first glass, the second glass, and the third glass, your additional satisfaction keeps on falling. Only when you consider glass, not when you consider spoon of water. And that's what we are studying, some assumptions related to marginal utility. Law of DMU, obviously we have studied. What does it say? That marginal utility curve will constantly fall and the relationship is simple. So let me ask you all some MCQ questions. Are you ready, guys? Are you ready, guys? Come on, everyone. Yes, sir, we are indeed ready. Okay, then if you are ready, then let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question then. Let me give you a numerical question. Let me give you a numerical question then. Here is the question. Here is the question. When total utility is maximum, MU is question mark A, rising, B, falling, C, 0, D, negative. Come on, everyone. Let's hear it out. Come on, let's hear it out. Nice. Come on. Absolutely, sir. So when TU is max, MU is 0. Correct. As we consume more and more units of a commodity, marginal utility will, option A, rise, B, fall, C, constant, D, all. What do you think? As we consume more and more units of a commodity, what will happen to marginal utility? All right, absolutely correct. So when you consume more and more units of a commodity, you all are absolutely correct. If you are saying that sir, as we consume additional units, marginal utility will fall. That's correct. That is the correct answer to say. Okay. So we will come back to MCQs yet again. Okay. But now, acha, one more question. As per Alfred Marshall, okay, utility is A, cardinal, B, ordinal, C, none, D, all. What do you think is the answer? As per Alfred Marshall mind you, utility is what? As per Alfred Marshall, mind you, come on. Absolutely. Okay. As per Alfred Marshall, utility is cardinal. Acha, my one more question. After this, I will continue my teaching. Okay. I'll continue teaching. So I have a question. Okay. Let me ask you this. You are telling that as per Alfred Marshall, okay. You are telling that as per Alfred Marshall, utility is cardinal, right? As per Alfred Marshall, utility is cardinal, right? That's fantastic. But now my question is, what is the meaning of cardinal? Guys, online, everybody attending, come on, answer me. What do you mean when we say utility is cardinal? What do you mean exactly? Come on, students. Yes. When you say cardinal, cardinal means it can be numerically measured. It can be numerically estimated. It can numerically be calculated. When you say something is cardinal, it means it can be numerically assessed. It can be numerically calculated. It can be numerically estimated. Acha. Is that the meaning of cardinal, sir? Yes, that is. That is the meaning of cardinal. That is, utility can be measured. Got it, sir. We got it, sir. Can be measured numerically. Can be measured numerically. Can be measured numerically. Very good. Now. So as I told you guys, to arrive at consumer equilibrium, there are two ways. I told you, right? Number one is the cardinal approach that we are doing today. Then there will be ordinal approach. Ordinal approach is Hicks and Allen approach, Hicksian analysis we call it, and MU analysis is given by Alfred Marshall. Now, here, what do we study? Alfred Marshall says utility can be quantified. What did he say? Utility can be quantified. Now, I will also teach you one more concept, guys. Consumer surplus. I will tell you one more point, consumer surplus. Okay? Okay. So suppose I come back to that Bisleri example. You were very thirsty, okay? So one Bisleri bottle costs ₹10, but you were ready to pay. Actual cost is ₹10, okay? But how much you were ready to pay? You were ready to pay ₹50. You were ready to pay how much? Sir, you were ready to pay ₹50, okay? So if you pay 10, but you were ready to pay 50, this is the ability and readiness. This is the actual. Consumer surplus is what the consumer is ready to pay minus what he actually pays. So how much you are benefited? You were ready to pay 50 rupees and you are actually paying only 10 rupees. So your consumer surplus is 40 rupees because you have saved 40. Why you have saved 40? Because you were ready even to give 50, but you are actually giving 10. Okay. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Sir, we understood this. So is this the example? Yes, that is the example. Let me ask you another question. Okay, so let's see how many of you answer this one. Okay, suppose there is this person, his name is Mr. X. Okay, Mr. X goes and buys ice cream. Mr. X goes and buys an ice cream. Okay, the price of this ice cream is ₹50. Okay, the price of ice cream is ₹50. Now Mr. X likes ice cream so much that Mr. X was ready to pay ₹120 for this ice cream. Was ready. Now you will tell me, first question, what is the value of utility? What is the value of utility of ice cream? Come on, everyone. Let's see who is answering the correct one. Let's see who is answering the correct one. Let's hear it from you. In this given example, what is the value of utility of ice cream? Yes, you are right. Yes, you are right. For those that are saying, see, sir, utility is what we are actually ready to pay. Utility is what we are actually ready to pay. Utility is what we are actually ready to pay. So we were ready to pay. Remember, I asked what is utility, not consumer surplus. Okay. Very good. Value of utility is 120 because you were ready to pay 120. Now my another question. Let's see how many of you have understood this. My another question is, what is the value of consumer surplus here? What is the value of consumer surplus here? Come on, everybody, let's hear it. Let's hear it. So some of you are saying, and most of you are saying 70, correct. You are ready to pay for 120, you are actually paying 50. So there is a positive consumer surplus. It is obviously positive. So consumer surplus will be 70. What you were ready to pay minus what you actually paid, that is 70. 120 minus 50. Because you actually paid 50, you were ready to pay 120. Consumer surplus is the difference of two. What you are ready to pay minus what you are actually having to pay. Acha, that is 70 rupees. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Moving it. Arriving at equilibrium. Before we understand how do we arrive at equilibrium, let me ask you some numerical questions. Are you ready for a numerical question, guys? Yes, sir, we are ready for a numerical problem. So let's have it. Let's have it here. Okay, let's have it here. My numerical question is simple. Okay, now my numerical question is simple. Question. Okay. Total utility from consuming 3 units is rupees 50 and from 4 units is rupees 60. What is MU of 4th unit? Option A 10, option B 20, option C 60, option D 50. Come on, what do you think? TU from consuming 3 units is 50 and from 4 units is 60. So what do you think is MU here? Okay, so you all are correct. From 3 units is 50 and 4 units is 60. So the change is from 50 to 60. That is, it has increased by how much? It is increased by 10. I have highlighted this. 10 I have highlighted. 10 I have highlighted. Got it, sir. So option A will be 10. Option A will be 10. That is correct. So our answer is 10. Sir, we get it, sir. Moving on, moving on, moving on. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. Now, TU, let's say MU of first unit is rupees 20, MU of second unit is rupees 10, MU of third unit is rupees 5. Okay, what is TU of 3 units? Total utility of 3 units. Option A 10, option B 20, option C 5, or option D 35. What do you think is the option? Please remember carefully that here you have to find total utility of 3 commodities. Come on, let's hear it. Yes, so clear. So my dear friends, let me summarize it for you. There is another thing that you need to remember, that whenever you are finding total utility, Remember, total utility of n units is mu up to n units. Means you keep adding up till n units. Okay. So for total utility of 3 units, you add the marginal utility of all the 3 units. That is, first is 20, second is 10, and third is 5. So total is 35, and there is your answer, 35. Right. So for TU at a particular level, you add mu up to that particular level. For TU at a particular level, you add mu up to that particular level. For TU at a particular level, you add mu up to that particular level. So here we get it as 35. Correct answer. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Okay. Okay. So my dear friends, this we have already done, that as per law of DMU, mu will gradually fall. And which of the following becomes negative gradually? Which one of them can become negative? Total utility, marginal utility, average utility, or all? Which one will become negative? Mind you, the question is which one will become negative? Yes. TU is nothing but aggregate of mu. TU is nothing but aggregate of mu. Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. So mu can become negative. TU will not become negative, obviously. So we have understood this. We have understood this. Okay, sir. So now let's hear. We have understood this. Assumptions of this particular thing, right? Assumptions of law of diminishing marginal utility. That consumer is rational, utility is cardinal, there should be continuity, constant utility of money. Means money is equally important always. Importance of money has not reduced, and unit should be of standard size. If you remember, I gave you the example of glass of water, isn't it? I gave you an example of glass of water. Yes, sir, you did give us this example. Correct. Correct. Okay. Now my question is, what next? Sir, what next, sir? Now let's discuss about the next thing, which is like arriving at consumer equilibrium. Please remember, this is cardinal approach that we are discussing. Which approach? Sir, we are discussing which approach? We are discussing, sir, cardinal approach. Okay. So in cardinal approach, there are two types of utilities. Achha, but before I come to these two types of utilities, there is one more thing I will want you to understand. And what is that thing? Let's hear it. Let's learn it. Okay. Let's learn it. Okay. What is that thing? Okay. It is limitations and exceptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility. Limitations of law of diminishing marginal utility. Limitations of law of diminishing marginal utility. Limitations of law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, sir. So the question is, number one, the number one limitation of law of DMU is it is based on a lot of assumptions. So once these assumptions not met, so the first limitation is if assumptions not met, then law of DMU will fail. This law will fail. There were many assumptions. Now you all remember there should be continuity in consumption. A break, if necessary, should be very short. Then what did we study? That the utility is measurable in terms of money, right? Goods should be of standard size. There were so many assumptions. So even if one assumption fails, this law will fail. So this is number one limitation of this law. Number two, there is interrelationship between utilities not explained by this law. Interrelationship between goods not explained by this law. Sir, we did not understand. I will give you an example. Not covered by law. I will give you an example. Pay attention, everybody. Interrelationship between goods not covered by law. Pay attention. First limitation was if the assumptions of law of DMU are not met. If the assumptions of law of DMU are not met, then this law will fail entirely. This was the first assumption. What is the second assumption? Here the second assumption is that interrelationship between goods is not covered by this law. What is it saying? Interrelationship between goods is not covered by this law. Sir, what do you mean by interrelationship between goods not covered by law? I'll tell you an example. Suppose there is a person who likes tea. Who likes tea? Okay. Now, many people like tea only when you have sugar with it or sugar in it. Yes, sir. Suppose if sugar is not available, don't you think people will start hitting tea from the very first point? They will take the first sip and they will start hitting it. Isn't it? Yes, sir. So tea is somehow dependent on sugar for its utility. But does law of DMU explain such interrelationship? Does law of DMU explain such interrelationship? What do you say? No, it does not, sir. No, it does not. Law of diminishing marginal utility does not explain such interrelationship. That's right. Understood? Yes. Guys, first two limitations, is it clear? So that I move to the third limitation of law of DMU. Is it clear? So I will repeat for you all. I will repeat for you all in Hindi. Okay? हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं limitations of law of DMU. Limitations of law of DMU का मतलब है कि कब law of DMU फेल हो जाएगा. लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू के साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या है, परेशानियां क्या है. पहली परेशानी है कि लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू बहुत सारे अजम्पशंस पर निर्भर करता है. तो कोई भी अजम्पशन जो लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू के टाइम अपने पढ़े थे, अगर वो फेल हो गया तो लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू फेल हो जाएगा. पहला बात. दूसरा बात, लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू का दूसरा प्रॉब्लम है कि ये गुड्स के बीच का इंटर रिलेशनशिप को कवर नहीं करता है. मतलब मान लीजिए कि टी, चाय आपको पसंद है बट विथ शुगर, शुगर के साथ आपको पसंद है, चीनी के साथ आपको पसंद है. अब सोचिए अगर शुगर अवेलेबल नहीं है, सोचिए अगर शुगर अवेलेबल नहीं है तो आपको तो चाय का पहला यूनिट ही खराब लगने लगेगा. तो मतलब एक कमोडिटी का यूटिलिटी दूसरे कमोडिटीज पर भी निर्भर करता है. इस बारे में लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू में कहीं पर कुछ बोला नहीं गया है. ये दूसरा लिमिटेशन है. इज इट क्लियर नाउ गाइस? प्लीज कंफर्म. यस सर, नाउ इट्स क्लियर. यस सर, नाउ इट्स क्लियर. So the assumption is that the limitation of law of DMU is that interrelationship between goods is not covered. What is law of DMU saying? That when you consume more and more, your additional satisfaction will keep on falling. But here, from the first unit only, I don't like the commodity because there is no sugar in it. Isn't it? Yes, sir, we have understood, sir. Yes, sir, we have understood. Moving on to the third point. Let's see what the third point is. Third point is that law is not universal. Means it is not applicable to all commodities. ये law हर commodity के लिए applicable नहीं. Now you will ask, कैसी commodities के लिए ये law applicable नहीं है? कैसी commodity के लिए ये law applicable नहीं है? कैसी commodities के लिए ये law applicable नहीं है? First case, pay attention everybody. Case A, this law is not applicable. Pay attention everyone. This law is not applicable. Pay attention everyone. This law is not applicable when we are talking about goods of prestige, high value goods. Suppose you see, we see a lot of cricket players and movie stars having a lot of money. So if they buy one diamond watch or a diamond necklace, let's say, whatever jewelry, they will want another. So are they tired of buying diamonds? Not at all. The more luxury good items they have, the more satisfaction they achieve. So here DMU is failing, because as per DMU, if you have more, your desire to have more will reduce. Here, so it is having the opposite impact. The more luxury items I have, the even more luxury items I demand. Yes or no, friends? Is the first prestigious goods clear? So law of DMU is not applicable to prestige goods. Law of DMU is not applicable to prestige goods. Is it clear, friends? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as I told, the law of DMU will not be applicable to prestigious goods, because you see, the more prestigious goods you have, the better satisfaction you will get. And so what did law of DMU say? That as you have more, your additional satisfaction will fall. Here rather it is having the opposite impact. And therefore our answer. इसका मतलब है, जब हम लोग और कंजम्पशन करेंगे प्रेस्टिजियस आइटम जैसे ज्वेलरी का, तो हमारा सेटिस्फैक्शन तो बढ़ेगा, कम थोड़ी होगा, हमारा सेटिस्फैक्शन तो बढ़ेगा. तो यहां पर लॉ ऑफ डीएमयू काम नहीं कर रहा है प्रेस्टीज गुड्स. सर अंडरस्टूड सर, अंडरस्टूड सर. मूविंग ऑन, मूविंग ऑन. So let's move on to point B. Let's move on to point B. In point B, products of hobby, rare collections, products of hobby, rare collections. Suppose somebody is in the habit of, let's say, they are in the habit of, let's say, drawing. So as they draw more and more, do you think their satisfaction will fall? No, rather it will increase. Suppose somebody is in the habit of reading books, novels and so on and so forth. So if you like reading books, the more books you read, your satisfaction will rise further. It will not fall. Your satisfaction will rise further. It will not fall. Isn't it? So it doesn't apply. Law of DMU doesn't hold true in case of hobbies. Because what does law of DMU says? As you have more, the satisfaction derived will fall. Is it falling here? No, it's rising here. Because when I read more books, my satisfaction level further rises, because it is my hobby to read books. Yes, sir. Yes. Correct, sir. Again, like hobby rare collection, it is not applicable to, the law is also not applicable to creative art as well. Law is not applicable to creative art as well. Also, it is not applicable in habit forming activities. Habit forming activities. Sir, we did not understand what is this activity forming activities. Suppose somebody likes playing computer games. So do you think if they play one game or two games, their satisfaction will fall? No. Rather, when they play more and more, their satisfaction will rise. Their additional satisfaction will rise. So it will have the opposite impact. Yes or no, friends? Yes, sir, it's crystal clear. Yes, sir, it's crystal clear. So here also, law of DMU doesn't hold true. Here also, law of DMU doesn't hold true. Here also, law of DMU doesn't hold true. Got it, sir. Got it, sir. So now, these are some commodities where law of DMU will fail. It will not pass the test. Understood, friends? Now, let me tell you one more thing. Now, let's talk about consumer equilibrium. Under cardinal approach, remember, we are not discussing ordinal approach today. We are discussing only cardinal approach. So what does cardinal approach say? What does cardinal approach say? Under cardinal approach, there are two types of commodities. Okay, two cases. Either there will be a single commodity world. There will be a single commodity world. Either there will be a single commodity world, or other case will be there will be a two commodity world. Like we are discussing equilibrium under two different cases. Under cardinal approach only. Equilibrium, when equilibrium, remember, we are using equilibrium. We are studying equilibrium under cardinal approach in two cases. Number one, when we are in the single commodity world, and number two, we are in the two commodity world. Yes, more than two commodity will not come in exam, so don't ask that question. Okay? Yes, sir. Now, what is the condition of single commodity world? I am now only concerned with single commodity world. So pay attention, listen carefully, friends. Okay, listen carefully, friends. What is the case with single commodity world? Okay, pay attention. Okay, single commodity world. So let's say, my dear friends, here is a commodity. Here I have drawn this diagram. Okay, here I have drawn this diagram. Here there is this quantity level. Okay, here there is price as well as marginal utility. Okay, pay attention, everyone. We are talking about shirts. Okay, let's take an example of shirts. Okay, no problem. Suppose price of the shirt is constant. Price of the shirt is constant. What is the price of the shirt? No matter how many quantity you buy, per shirt cost is 700 rupees. Okay, right. Now let's talk about satisfaction level. In the first shirt, the additional satisfaction that we derive is, let's say, 800. In the second shirt, the additional satisfaction that we derive is 750. In the third case, the additional satisfaction we derive from shirt is 700 units. In the fourth case, the satisfaction we derive is 650 units. So my dear friends, here the equilibrium condition is, we will consume or we will achieve equilibrium. We will achieve equilibrium. We will achieve equilibrium when price is just equals to marginal utility. That is the satisfaction you derive from money, is the satisfaction that you derive from shirt, which is happening at the third unit, as you can see here. Because above this, what is happening? See, let me teach you the decision making. Let me make a decision making table for you. So if you see decision making, here MU of shirt is 800, but price of shirt is 700. So satisfaction is greater than price. MU is the satisfaction, 700 is the price. So satisfaction is greater than price. Here also satisfaction is 750, price is 700. So in both the cases we buy. Here also we buy. But here both are equal. The satisfaction is equal to the price. So our decision was yet again buy. But in the third case, 650 is less than 700. So here money is more important than shirt. Here what is more important? Here money is more important. What is more important? Money is more important. Paisa zyada important ho gaya. So therefore the answer will be not buy. So simply speaking, in single commodity world, if the producer wants to achieve equilibrium, what is the trick? The point where the price of the commodity, price is constant, price of the commodity is assumed to be constant. Here price of the commodity is assumed to be constant. So the point at which price is equals to marginal utility, that is the point. That is the point where satisfaction is maximized. So let's say this is marginal utility. Okay. Now price is constant, mind you, price is constant. So as you can see here, at this level, at this quantity, let this be 3 units. Let this be 3 units. So at this level, price is equals to marginal utility. So this point in economics is called the equilibrium point in single commodity world, where price of the commodity becomes equal to marginal utility derived from that commodity. Where price becomes equal to marginal utility derived from that commodity. Price becomes equal to marginal utility derived from that commodity. Is that crystal clear, friends? Yes or no, please? Yes, sir, crystal clear. Yes, sir, crystal clear. Very good. Yeah. So the fact that it is crystal clear, it gives us the opportunity to understand this single commodity world. Conclude this single commodity world. What is the conclusion? Where a price of the commodity becomes equal to marginal utility. Let me ask you a question. We will understand whether you understand this or not properly. Okay. So let me ask you a very simple question. Okay. Let me ask you a very simple question. Okay. Yes, sir. Please go ahead and tell us. So the question is very simple. That let's say, Acha, by the way, in each level, we will calculate consumer surplus. In each level, let's calculate consumer surplus. Here, see here. Pay attention, everybody. This decision making we have understood. Now we will understand decision making via consumer surplus as well. Sir, how? Let's see. Let's calculate consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is what you are ready to pay minus what you actually pay. So here you were ready to pay 800 for the first shirt, right? But how much are you actually paying? We are just paying 700. So consumer surplus is how much? 100 rupees. Here, what you were ready to pay? We were ready to pay 750. Okay. But what you are actually paying, my lovely friends? Sir, we are actually paying 700 only. So here 700 gone. So how much is the consumer surplus? Yes, you guessed it right. It's 50 rupees. Consumer surplus is 50 rupees. Okay. Again, here 700 you were ready to pay. 700 is the actual price. So 700 minus 700 is 0. Remember, marginal utility shows what you are ready to pay, what you are ready to pay, and price shows what you actually pay, what you actually pay, जो आप एक्चुअली में पे कर रहे हो. कंज्यूमर सरप्लस होता है क्या कितने पैसे आप देने के लिए तैयार थे, एंड प्राइस बोलता है आप एक्चुअली कितना पे कर रहे हो. अब जैसे फर्स्ट केस में मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी 800 था, आप 800 रुपीज देने को तैयार थे, बट आपका प्राइस कितना था 700 खाली, तो आपका सरप्लस कितना हुआ 100 का फायदा हुआ आपका, तो आप आगे खरीदोगे. ठीक है. एंड हियर यू सी सरप्लस हैज बिकम नेगेटिव बिकॉज 650 यू आर रेडी टू पे, but what is the actual price that you are having to pay? -50. So we will not operate at this level because here consumer surplus is negative. Here consumer surplus is negative. Here consumer surplus is negative. So the equilibrium is maximized at a point where consumer surplus just becomes equal to 0. Where consumer surplus just becomes equal to 0. That's right. Yes, sir. We understand that. My dear friends, do you really understand? Come on, friends. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Now, sir, what is the condition for two commodity world? Now, let me ask you some questions, okay? Let me ask you some questions, then we come to two commodity world. Acha, by the way, what is the application of consumer equilibrium? You know, consumer equilibrium helps in finding out prices of a product, what price to keep. That is how much consumers are willing to pay. It helps in large scale investment. It helps in maximizing consumer welfare. It helps in calculating surplus, right? So this equilibrium concept is very useful. But let's come to the main question. This is not the main question. Let me ask you a main question again, whether you are able to answer this or not. Suppose, pay attention everybody, the question is very simple. If price of a commodity is rupees 1000 and MU of that commodity is rupees 800, what would you advise? What would a reasonable, a rational consumer do? What would a rational consumer do? Option A, buy. B, not buy. C, both. D, none. What do you think a rational consumer must do? Price is 1000, MU is 800. What do you think the consumer should do? Remember, price is 1000, MU is 800. Remember that, friends. Remember that, friends. Wow, really great. Obviously, since you are having to pay more than the satisfaction that you are arriving at, obviously your answer should be you should not buy the commodity. You should not buy the commodity. Don't buy the commodity. Okay. So now we have understood. Now we have understood this fact. Now we have understood this fact. All right, sir. Sir, we have understood. Okay. So now let's hear it. Let's see it, whether we understand or not. So in case of consumer, under cardinal approach, there were two approaches. Okay. There were two approaches. Okay. There was one commodity world and then there was two commodity world. Under one commodity world, what was the condition for equilibrium? That is, price is equals to marginal utility. Sir, please tell us about two commodity world. Please tell us about two commodity world. Okay, I'll tell you about two commodity world. Pay attention then. Pay attention then. Okay. Yes. As in the two commodity world, the condition is marginal utility of X by price of X should be equal to marginal utility of Y by price of Y. Because it indicates the satisfaction you are deriving from consuming one unit of a commodity. Okay. Now let me help you with a question. Okay. Let me ask you a question and then you will be able to understand what I'm saying. Suppose, guys, in rupees 2, you are able to buy. Please answer this question, everybody. Very important, sir. Acha, by the way, here the answer will be not buy because price was more than utility. Remember, write it down, write it down. You should buy the product only in two cases. when MUX is greater than PX, number one, or until MUX becomes equal to PX. You should buy only in these two cases. Only in these two cases we will buy the product. Remember, in single commodity world. In single commodity world. Okay. Yes, sir, we understood this. Now coming back to the point. My friends, a very simple question. My friends, a very simple question. Okay. Yes, sir, please ask. You have rupees 2. Okay. You have rupees 2. In rupees 2, you are able to purchase 10 chocolates. Please answer me this question. Please answer me this question. Okay. I'll ask the question. In rupees 2, if you can buy 10 chocolates, in rupees 1, how many chocolates will you be able to buy? A very simple question. Answer this. Because I am now explaining two commodity world. Okay. TCW means two commodity world. For that to be answered, this question has to be answered. If in rupees 2 I can buy 10 chocolates, in rupee 1, how many chocolates will I be able to buy? That's right. Sir, in rupees 2, if you are able to buy 10 chocolates, then in rupees 1, we will buy, yes, you are correct. In rupees 1, we will buy 10 by 2, that is 5 chocolates, right? Agreed? Yes, sir, we agree. Now my second question. Suppose. If by spending rupees 5, right? If by spending rupees 5, right? You are having a marginal utility, you are enjoying the benefit of, let's say, just for example's sake, you are enjoying the benefit of rupees 10. Okay. So by spending rupees 1, what is the benefit that you enjoy? Sir, again the same thing, 10 by 5, rupees 2. So what did you do? To calculate marginal utility derived per rupee of a commodity, what did you do? Marginal utility of that commodity by price of that commodity. Yes or no? 10 by 5. 10 is MU, 5 is price. Yes or no, friends? Yes, sir, you are correct. Yes, sir, you are correct. This is what we have to do. Similarly, let's say this is product X. Similarly, for product Y, we will have to search at what quantity. We will have to search that at what quantity MUX by PX will be becoming equal to MUY by PY. So in two commodity world, the logic is very simple. That when is equilibrium achieved? Please focus here. When is equilibrium achieved? When MUX by PX equals to MUY by PY. Just learn it. Or you can write it like this. You can send MU here. So you can write it like this. Or MUX by MUY is equal to PX by PY. We have interchanged these two. So both of them are equilibrium conditions. I hope you remember this. Come on, guys. Yes, sir. We will remember this. Sir. Very good. Yes, sir, we have understood this much. Now moving on. Pay attention, everybody. We are moving on a bit. Okay? Yes, sir, please go ahead. Please move on. So my question is, what will you see if you see MUX PX is greater than MUY by PY? What will a consumer do? Here is the question. What will the consumer do? I am giving you options, don't worry. A, buy more of X. Option A, buy more of X. B, buy more of Y. C, do nothing. C, both A and B. What do you think is the answer? Remember, MUX by PX is greater than MUY by PY. What will the consumer do? What will a consumer do? Come on, everybody. Yes, that's right. See, if you are seeing MUX by PX is greater than MUY by PY, इसका मतलब consumer जब 1 रुपया X पे खर्चा कर रहा है तो उसको ज्यादा सेटिस्फेक्शन मिल रहा है कंपेयर टू जब वो 1 रुपया Y पे खर्चा कर रहा है। तो जब हमें X से ज्यादा सेटिस्फेक्शन मिल रहा है तो हम लोग X को और कंज्यूम करेंगे, सो वी विल बाई मोर ऑफ X। और ये कब तक चलेगा? टिल व्हेन, ये कब तक X खरीदते रहेंगे हम लोग? तब तक जब तक दोनों इक्वल ना हो जाए। वी विल कीप बाइंग मोर ऑफ X till MUX by PX becomes equal to MUY by PY. Here MUX by PX implies that per unit of X is giving more satisfaction, per rupee spent on X is giving more satisfaction than per rupee spent on Y. Since per rupee spent on X is giving more satisfaction than per rupee spent on Y, so the answer would be to buy more of X and less of Y. I mean shift to X. Okay, got it, sir. Got it, sir. Now is it crystal clear, everybody? Yes or no, please? Yes or no, friends? Okay, okay, okay. All right, all right, all right. Sir, we understood. Now, our institute material tells what we have to study next. We will now study applications and limitations of understanding consumer surplus. Okay, so let's talk about that. All this concept was given by Alfred Marshall. Who gave this concept? Alfred Marshall. Who gave the concept of consumer surplus and law of DMU? Please remember, whether it is law of DMU, I'm writing it down, whether it is law of DMU or the concept of consumer surplus, consumer welfare, etc., consumer surplus, all these concepts were given by Mr. Marshall, Mr. Alfred Marshall. Please remember, my lovely friends. It was given by whom? It was given by Alfred Marshall. It was given by who? It was given by Alfred Marshall. Please remember that. Okay, sir. Moving on. Let's hear it now. Applications of consumer surplus. We understand what is consumer surplus. I will revise for you again. It is what consumers are ready to pay. I've written it many times. Minus what they actually pay. Minus what they actually pay. Okay? What they actually pay. Okay, sir. Now my question is very simple. What are the importance or applications of consumer surplus? So number one, you all will agree that more the consumer surplus, happier the consumer will be. It means more the consumer welfare. So more the consumer surplus, more the consumer welfare. This is the first point in institute's material as well. I am doing it from that only. So more the consumer surplus, more the consumer surplus, more is the consumer welfare. Consumer welfare means the satisfaction derived by the consumer. And hence the point number one we have discussed. And hence the point number one we have discussed. More consumer surplus implies more consumer welfare. More consumer surplus implies more consumer welfare. Got it, sir. Number two, see, you have two options, okay? Two options, commodity X, commodity Y. Let's say they are competitive. I am explaining point number two, okay? They are competition of each other, okay? In commodity X, the consumer surplus, that is the benefit that you enjoy, is rupees 100. In case of Y, the benefit that you enjoy is rupees 50. Which product will you purchase, X or Y? You can purchase only one. Will you like X more or will you like Y more? Absolutely. Correct. So, my dear friends, please pay attention. If consumer surplus is 100, you all are correct. We will buy product X. Why? Because of product X, consumer surplus is greater. Understood, sir. So, it helps in setting prices. So, different businesses can set their prices. You know, different businesses can set prices in a way, that consumer surplus is maximized by consumption of their goods. because everybody want to make the consumer happy. So they will want to maximize consumer surplus. They will want to maximize consumer surplus. जहां भी consumer surplus ज्यादा होगा, अपने को वही commodity पसंद आएगा, तो ये दुकानदारों को, it helps the managers to set prices that enable them to maximize consumer surplus. That is the logic. That is the logic. Sir, got it, sir. Got it, sir. Number 3. My dear friends, let's say a project, an organization is planning a project. First project is project A, second project is project B. Project A will result in consumer surplus of rupees 1 crore. B will result in consumer surplus of rupees 10 crore. Which project do you think will the organization, or should the organization follow up? Should the organization take up project A or project B? What do you think? Yes, you people are correct. Since project B is resulting in more consumer surplus, it is better. So this is the third application. It helps the organization to decide which project to take, which project to give up, and also to decide how much to produce. That is large scale production. Large scale production. Large scale production. Because large scale production will result in reduced costs, reduced prices. Lesser the price, more the satisfaction. Lesser the price of a commodity, more the satisfaction derived by the consumer, and therefore more the consumer surplus. CS means consumer surplus. More the consumer surplus. Number 4. If a firm, if let's say there is a firm who is deciding to increase prices of the commodities, so it helps them to take decision whether they should increase the price of their commodities or should not. I will give you an example. Suppose there is Mr. A, there is Mr. B. Okay. All right. Now Mr. A has a marginal, Mr. A is ready to pay. Let's say we are talking about a ice cream. Okay. Ice cream we are talking about. Okay. Let's say we are talking about ice cream. So Mr. A is ready to pay rupees 50 for this ice cream. And what he actually pays, the actual price of ice cream is rupees 45. So what is the consumer surplus of Mr. A? Rupees 5. Agreed? Now let's come to other consumer. Mr. B. Mr. B for this ice cream is ready to pay rupees 70. What he actually pays for the same ice cream is again rupees 45. So what is the consumer surplus? What is the consumer surplus? Here the consumer surplus, as we can clearly see, is rupees 25. So sir, what next? Now suppose this ice cream company, let's say this ice cream company is planning, to increase the price of its ice cream. Let's say the ice cream company is planning to increase the price of this ice cream from existing price of rupees 45 to rupees 55. Now my question is, price has risen from rupees 45 to rupees 55. Do you think both consumers will buy the product? Do you think both consumers will buy the product, or one of them will stop buying the product? That is my question to you all. What do you think? Do you think consumer A and B will still continue to buy? Both of them will continue to buy, or one of them will stop, or both will stop? What do you think? Price has increased from 45 to 55. Not increased. Company is thinking to increase the price from 45 to 55. What do you think? What do you think? Yes. Very good. Very good. Our friends have given correct answer. Yes. A, our friend here, A, will get angry because his consumer surplus is no more there. So he will stop buying. So this is why consumer surplus is important, as it helps the firm to understand that if they raise prices, some consumers who have small surplus, you see here the surplus is only rupees 5. So consumers who are having this very small surplus might stop buying your commodity, because they are enjoying lesser surplus, Sir, we understood this. So these are the application of this logic. And also it helps the ministers, the government, when they decide whether to impose taxes like GST on some commodities or not. So in products which have small consumer surplus, tax will not be imposed or will be very low. In products which have high consumer surplus, taxes will be high. You see now, a luxury car, let's say Ferrari for that matter, if it costs rupees, let's say 5 crore, government knows that the person who is buying this Ferrari is even ready to pay 10 crores. So what will government do? Government will impose 28% GST on it. But does government impose 28% GST on atta, on wheat, on rice? It will not do that, because the consumers of such products have a very small consumer surplus. So it also acts a guide to consumers. So my dear friends, overall idea of why consumer surplus understanding is important and how it helps in taking decisions, I hope it is crystal clear. Yes or no, my dear friends? Come on, everybody. Yes or no in the chat. Come on, friends. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear. Yes, sir. It's clear. So to summarize consumer surplus use in Hindi, कंज्यूमर सरप्लस आपको ये डिसाइड करने में हेल्प करता है कि आपको प्रोडक्ट का दाम बढ़ाना चाहिए कि नहीं बढ़ाना चाहिए. अगर मान लीजिए आप प्रोडक्ट का दाम बढ़ा दिए तो क्या होगा, कंज्यूमर सरप्लस कम हो जाएगा. फॉर एग्जांपल, जैसे मैंने इस आइसक्रीम का एग्जांपल दिया कि एक कंज्यूमर 50 रुपए देने को तैयार है. अब आपका आइसक्रीम 45 का है, तो उसका कंज्यूमर सरप्लस कितना है, 5. कैसे? बिकॉज वो 50 रुपए देने को तैयार था, 50 रुपीज देने को तैयार था. उसे देना कितना पड़ रहा है, 45 उसे देना पड़ रहा है. तो कंज्यूमर सरप्लस कितने की है, 5 रुपए की है. अब अगर आपने प्राइस 45 से 55 कर दिया तो उसका कंज्यूमर सरप्लस तो गायब. तो क्या वो आपकी कमोडिटी कंज्यूम करेगा? वो आपकी कमोडिटी कंज्यूम नहीं करेगा. मतलब कंज्यूमर सरप्लस खत्म हो गया. इसलिए कंज्यूमर सरप्लस हेल्प करता है कंपनियों को और मिनिस्टर्स को ये डिसाइड करने में कि प्रोडक्ट का प्राइस क्या रखें, प्राइस बढ़ाना चाहिए कि नहीं बढ़ाना चाहिए, प्रोडक्ट पे टैक्स लगाना चाहिए कि नहीं लगाना चाहिए. हाँ सर, बात तो क्रिस्टल क्लियर है. बात तो सर क्रिस्टल क्लियर है. तो ये है कंज्यूमर सरप्लस का यूज, कि प्राइस लगाएं, बढ़ाएं कि नहीं बढ़ाएं. क्योंकि अगर आप प्राइस बढ़ाओगे तो कंज्यूमर सरप्लस घट जाएगा, कम हो जाएगा. राइट, कंज्यूमर को जो एडवांटेज था वो कम हो जाएगा, है ना. एंड इस वजह से ये प्राइस सेटिंग में हेल्प करता है. मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि ये बातें क्रिस्टल क्लियर है. ओके, नाउ माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, नाउ वी कम बैक to our topic of limitations of consumer surplus. Limitations क्या है सर? What are the limitations of consumer surplus? So let's hear it out. Limitations of consumer surplus. What are the limitations of consumer surplus? So guys, if we discuss the limitations of consumer surplus, here are the few points that we have got to understand. Point number there is commodity X versus there is commodity Y. Now suppose consumer is ready to pay rupees 100 here also, and here also consumer is ready to pay rupees 100, because X and Y do the same work. So consumer is ready to pay the same amount, that is 100 rupees. Consumer is ready to pay the same amount, which is rupees 100. Yes sir. So in the first case, if the consumer was ready to pay rupees 100, In the second case, if the consumer was ready to pay rupees 100, now what happens? If they are actually paying, here, let's say price, actual price, let's say actual price here is rupees 40, here actual price is rupees 30. So can you tell me the consumer surplus? Obviously, sir, the consumer surplus, is rupees 60 here. What is the consumer surplus here? It is rupees 60 here. And what is the consumer surplus here? Sir, the consumer surplus here is rupees 70. That's right, sir. That's right, sir. So in one case it was 60 rupees, in the other case it is 70 rupees. So where is the consumer surplus greater? Where is the consumer surplus greater? Sir, in the second case. Where is the consumer surplus greater? Sir, in the second case. And therefore consumer will go for commodity Y. And this is what I am saying. Despite there being consumer surplus in commodity X as well, there was consumer surplus in commodity X as well. But which gave greater consumer surplus? Commodity Y. Since commodity Y resulted in greater consumer surplus, consumer went for commodity Y and not for commodity X. So see, despite there being a surplus in commodity X, consumer surplus था commodity X में भी, फिर भी कंज्यूमर ने क्या चूज किया? कमोडिटी वाई, क्योंकि उसमें ज्यादा कंज्यूमर सरप्लस था. यही तो आई हैव डिस्कस्ड कि द प्रॉब्लम विद कंज्यूमर सरप्लस इज कि इवन इफ देयर इज कंज्यूमर सरप्लस, इट इज नॉट अ गारंटी कि कंज्यूमर विल कंज्यूम योर प्रोडक्ट. जस्ट बिकॉज कंज्यूमर सरप्लस है, इस बात की गारंटी नहीं है कि कंज्यूमर आपका प्रोडक्ट खरीदेगा. पता है क्यों? क्योंकि हो सकता है आपका कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोडक्ट में उसको और ज्यादा कंज्यूमर सरप्लस मिल रहा हो. इसीलिए मैंने बोला कंज्यूमर सरप्लस अफेक्ट हो जाता है सब्स्टिट्यूट्स की वजह से. आई होप इट इज क्रिस्टल क्लियर. द आइडिया इज क्रिस्टल क्लियर गाइस. यस और नो एवरीवन? माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, यस और नो? These are some of the limitations. Okay, and one more limitation here. One more limitation, very important limitation, कि this theory of consumer surplus is working under which world? My option to you is consumer surplus theory. My question to you is studied under which world? When we are assuming utility is cardinal, or when we are assuming that utility is ordinal? Come on, answer it. Under cardinal world or under ordinal world? What do you think? Where is it working? Where is this concept working? What say? Where is this concept working? Absolutely clear. Yes, sir. This concept is working under cardinal world. This concept is working where? Yes, friends, you are correct when you say this concept is working under cardinal world. Under cardinal world, where we assume that utility, can be measured, in terms of money. Where you assume that utility can be measured in terms of money. Yes, sir, it's indeed true. That's what I'm saying. Ki as per this theory, you are assuming that utility is cardinal and therefore it is working under this world. So the third limitation is the consumer surplus concept will not work under ordinal world. Why it will not work under ordinal world? Because under ordinal world, utility cannot be numerically measured. It can be ranked, but it cannot be numerically measured. So these are some of the limitations of consumer surplus. This much understanding will do the work. Now we move to ordinal approach. Are you ready, my dear friends? Are you ready? Yes or no? Ordinal approach, we will only do a brief discussion. Full we will complete in next class only. But now I'll give you a brief introduction of ordinal approach. Are you all ready, friends? Yes or no, please? Yes, sir. First limitation is it cannot be measured precisely. आप exactly हर बार consumer surplus को calculate नहीं कर पाओगे ठीक से. That is it. Don't focus too much on this. Very basic point. Moving on. Ordinal approach. Ordinal approach, my dear friends, ordinal approach, my dear friends, is also called, pay attention everybody. We are discussing ordinal approach, right? We are discussing ordinal approach, right? It is also called indifference curve analysis. Remember, it is also called indifference curve analysis. What is ordinal approach also called? Indifference curve analysis. What is ordinal approach also called? Indifference curve analysis. Please remember this. Ordinal approach is also called indifference curve analysis. Acha. Okay, sir. We got it, sir. Ordinal approach is also called indifference curve analysis. Now, please remember the first point. Before I explain anything, please remember the first point here. And what is the first point here? The first point here is very simple. That point is here. Utility is. Please pay attention. The first point is very simple, very important indeed. And what is the first point? The first point is utility is. Here, utility is not measurable, not expressible in terms of money. Utility is not measurable, not expressible in terms of money. That is the key point here. Utility is not measurable, not expressible in terms of money. Is that crystal clear, friends? Yes or no? Yes, sir, clear. Utility is not measurable in terms of money. Now, here, there is no one commodity world. So what is ordinal approach? How does it work? How does it work? Now, my dear friends, let's say I put 5 dishes in front of you, okay? I put a pizza in front of you. I put a pasta in front of you, okay? I put some noodles in front of you. I put bread in front of you. Let's keep this 4 only. So you may tell me that, sir, if you give me, each one will have a different answer. But let's say somebody tells that, sir, I like pasta the best, then I like pizza, then I like noodles, and then I write the simple toasted bread. So when this is the order, 1, 2, 3, and 4, when this is the order, what have you done? Have you assigned a numerical value? No. You have given ranks. You have just given ranks. You have just given ranks. And that's what ordinal approach is all about. You have just given ranks. And that's what ordinal approach is all about. It's all about giving rank and not giving a numerical value to it. It's all about giving rank and not giving numerical value. And therefore, here we are only concerned with, in indifference curve analysis, here we are only concerned with what kind of world? 2 commodity world. Arey Baba, why? Sir, why 2 commodity? Why not 1 commodity world? Arey Baba, in order to arrange in an orderly fashion, there has to be 2 things, so that we can rank them 1 or 2. If there's only 1 thing, how can orderly arrangement be done? So here we will not do a equilibrium of 1 commodity world like cardinal. Here there is only 2 commodity world. Here there is only 2 commodity world. That's right, friends. Here we are discussing only 2 commodity world. Acha, sir. Is that so? Yes, my dear friends. Yes, my dear friends. Yes. Because in ordinal approach, there is assumption that utility cannot be measured. That's why we have to give rank. If utility could have been measured, we did not need to give rank. Here utility cannot be numerically measured and numerically expressed. Here utility cannot be numerically measured, numerically expressed. And therefore, it becomes important, it becomes necessary to give them rank. Okay. So now, to understand the equilibrium under 2 commodity world, to understand the equilibrium under 2 commodity world, please remember there are 2 concepts. Okay. Obviously, we will study them in the next class, but there are 2 different concepts. Number 1, we will understand what is indifference curve, and we will do questions from indifference curve. Second one will be, we will understand budget line, and we will do questions from budget line. That is what the journey is going to be all about. Indifference curve and budget line. Indifference curve and budget line. That's what the journey is going to be all about. My dear friends, is this crystal clear? Yes or no, please? Yes or no, friends? Come on, everyone. Come on, guys. Yes, sir. It's crystal clear. Is that clear? Okay. Let me ask you one more MCQ. Let me ask you one more MCQ. If we understand this, then we can wind up the day. Okay. So let me ask you one more MCQ question. Okay. See. The question is, under which approach is utility non-measurable? Non-measurable. That is, utility cannot be measured. Under which approach? A, is it cardinal approach? B, is it ordinal approach? C, is it both? D, is it none? What say? Is utility non-measurable in terms of money or in terms of quantity? Come on, guys. Which approach are we talking about here? Which approach are we talking about here? Under which approach is utility not measurable in terms of money, obviously, or in terms of number? In terms of money or number. Under which approach? Yes, you guys correct. Ordinal approach. तो ऑर्डिनल अप्रोच वो अप्रोच है जहां पे यूटिलिटी हम लोग मनी के टर्म्स में मेजर नहीं कर सकते, यूटिलिटी हम लोग पैसे के टर्म्स में मेजर नहीं कर सकते, रैंकिंग कर सकते हैं बट नंबरिंग न्यूमेरिकल वैल्यू असाइन करना पॉसिबल नहीं है। तो यहां पर आंसर हमारा ऑर्डिनल अप्रोच, जिसको हम लोग इंडिफरेंस कर्व अप्रोच भी बोलते हैं। इंडिफरेंस कर्व क्या होता है ये सब हम लोग आने वाली क्लास में, व्हाट इज इंडिफरेंस कर्व, वी विल स्टडी इन अवर अपकमिंग क्लास। व्हाट इज योर होमवर्क? To revise the cardinal approach completely. ठीक है? So with that, my dear friends, we wind up the day today. Goodbye everyone. Bye bye. Tata. Thank you very much.